Hey, all you jealous bards and bardettes, welcome back to iCast Fish's Mockery.
A show about sneak attacks, archetypes, and traditions.
And a show where we watch The Bachelor with you.
No, we're not going to do that, but I'm Matt.
And I'm Austin.
And welcome back to iCast Fish's Mockery, of the show that you are listening to right now.
Should we introduce it again? I'm not sure everybody knows where they've ended up today.
Right. You stumbled into a part of the internet called Here. And let us show you around.
Okay. Yeah. So we've been talking. And look, sometimes
we're breaking up.
Okay, this is exactly why.
And this is why.
All right. No, we got some homebrew.
We do.
What have we got?
Okay, do you like rogues?
No.
Well, D&D Blue _ likes rogues.
Good for D&D Blue _
Here's a roguish archetype.
Mm-hmm.
They're the gambler. They gamble. The comments, I'm just going to say this right now. I did read the comments under this.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people don't like this, but I do.
Do they not like it for mechanical reasons? Like they think it's not balanced, or do they not like it? Okay.
Like statistical reasons. Like, I'll maybe bring it up. Maybe it'll even be obvious what the biggest problem is, but it's easy to fix. Anyway. Okay, first of all, you gain proficiency with playing cards and one other game set of your choice. You're a gambler, of course, you must, right? Also, at third level, right away, that third level is when you choose your roguish archetype. So, okay, wager once per turn before you make an attack against a creature. Before you attack, you can decide if you want to wager your damage. All right. So you flip a coin first and you call it. And then you roll the attack. And if the attack hits...
Please tell me that there's a level 20 feature called Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. Anyway, keep going.
Something like that, actually.
All right.
So I guess you don't choose, because if it is heads, then your sneak attack deals 50% more damage, rounded up. And if it's tails, your sneak attack deals half damage, rounded down. I like that.
Yep.
The thing I don't like about it is it says that regardless of the outcome, using wager allows you to use sneak attack against the target, even if you don't have advantage on the attack roll. So basically this is saying...
So is that what people don't like about it? Is that
it's basically saying...
It's free advantage.
It's not free...
free sneak attack.
It's free sneak attack. It's like you can just do sneak attack anytime regardless. You don't have to... Like there's no other thing you have to deal with. Like you just get sneak attack all the time.
And I think the upside is bigger than the downside too.
Well, right.
Because the upside being, if you look at the difference, you either do twice as much damage or you do half damage. Doing twice as much damage adds more than doing half damage takes away.
Yeah, well, your sneak attack deals 50% more damage. So it's actually only one and a half.
I thought it was twice as... Okay.
No, it's 1.5 times.
Then I'm not as worried about that.
Right.
At least that part's balanced.
Well, the problem I think herein lies that you just do more damage always, because even if you do half damage, you still are doing sneak attack damage, and that's going to be more than you would normally do.
It's going to be higher than your average.
Right. It's pretty much you're always going to do more damage. So it doesn't really feel like a wager anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're basically just guaranteeing that you're always going to do more damage than you normally would anyway. So I would just get rid of that and then just say that it's when you do sneak attack. You get to choose to do this before you roll.
I think the wager could come into effect before you roll damage on sneak attacks. That could be interesting. Like what I'm saying is that instead of affecting, I guess it affects damage. It would affect damage in a different way rather than a coin flip. You would say like, all right, now I want to roll whatever, and on a 1, your damage is halved. Like you roll a d4 maybe. On a 1, your damage is halved, or you get 0 damage maybe. On a 2, you do normal damage, and then 3 and 4 you do double damage or something. No, that's too good. If you already know that you hit, maybe you get an extra d6 or something. But you get the idea that I'm going for here.
Well, I think the issue of being able to call it after you roll.
But you get that instead of sneak attack damage.
Oh, okay.
Right. So like you don't get the. So I don't know exactly how much damage it needs to be to balance it, but it's like you either lose your sneak attack that you just you succeeded on, right? Like you hit, you got him, you're gonna do sneak attack damage, or you could lose that damage, but you could also do something even better.
Okay, so now instead it's a chance that you'll either do more damage or that you could potentially lose out on it all.
Right. Double or nothing when you hit with a sneak attack.
Well, guess what? That's
already built in.
Already built into this.
Good thing I thought of that first, though.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get there. That's not until like the highest level, though.
Okay.
At 9th level, you have a stacked deck. So as a bonus action, you draw a random card from a playing card set. Now, it has you roll dice for this, but I mean, you could literally just have a playing card set, which I think would be more fun anyway.
Yep.
But what card you draw depends on what happens. So if you draw clubs, your target's speed is halved until the start of your next turn. If you draw diamonds, the target has disadvantage on the next saving throw that they make. If you draw hearts, you give a number of temporary hit points equal to your rogue level, or you gain temporary hit points equal to your rogue level. And in spades, the target has disadvantage on the next attack roll they make. Apparently this is like it. Okay. So this is something that you do when you deal sneak attack damage to a target. Like you deal sneak attack damage to them, you can now draw a card, get the effect. Okay. Once a card has been drawn, Once a card has been drawn, you have 1 minute to use it. I don't know if I like that. I think that the target of your sneak attack is just the target of it. So
yeah.
Either you gain the temporary hit points or one of those things happens to the target of your sneak attack.
Yeah.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I get why maybe it feels better to have it be that you have a minute to use the card, but
I think that just makes it more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather just have something happen than have to be like, I'm going to save this for later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have a number of uses equal to your proficiency bonus. Okay, so you can do it a proficiency bonus number of times.
Right. That's nice.
Yeah, that's a good number, I think, because it's not too much. Like it's never too much, and it's
never enough either.
It never. Yeah, well, that's how it feels. It feels like it's never enough. But at the beginning, it's like 3, right, or 2, I guess, at the very beginning. Of the game,
something like that.
It quickly becomes 3 proficiency bonus, and then I think the max is 6. So yeah, that's nice. I like that. But then at 13th level, you get Lady Luck's Blessing. So when you make an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can give yourself advantage. You must use this feature before knowing the outcome of the roll.
Okay.
So
Cool.
it's after rolling, maybe, but before you know what happens.
Okay.
Additionally, if a hostile creature hits you with an attack, you can force them to reroll their attack. You can use this feature twice per short or long rest.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the luck feat, but not quite as good. So which actually makes it better, I think.
Well, it feels good for a 13th level, though, because at that point you need crits a lot. You need you need really high hits for your sneak attack. And this is a nice way to be able to set up a sneak attack.
Actually,
or other things like that. You set it up with this, and then you can really make sure you're going to hit hard.
by just giving yourself advantage, that just gives you sneak attack.
It does. Yep, exactly.
Because you have advantage. Anytime you have advantage, it's sneak attack.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. Playing around with that.
Well, okay. We'll talk more about like playing this character and how they would act and stuff later. But I like the idea of them maybe bumbling into victory.
Oh yeah,
that sort of thing. Like they literally are winning. They are doing these sneak attacks just from being lucky. It just worked out that way. Instead of them being skillful with the blade like other rogues. Or deceptive or anything. They could just be lucky.
Yeah. It's my thought is like a Jack Sparrow type.
Yeah.
Because that's like, if you think about, at least in the first movie, that's how it was for him.
Yeah, he acts like he's all cool and stuff, but he really is just getting lucky.
Yeah, he just gets lucky. He takes advantage of the opportunities, but the opportunities present themselves by chance in most cases. The last thing you get is called All In at 17th level. So when you use Wager, you now bet all of your sneak attack damage. So if it's heads, it's double instead of 50%. And if it's tails, it's nothing.
Yeah, I just think moving the wager to a different time would be best. I feel like it's a fun, like, push your luck style mechanic when you know that you've actually hit. And now you're rolling for damage, and you can be like, all right, do I just take the damage or do I wager it? And everyone's like,
yeah, oh boy.
Yeah.
And I guess I think it would be good. I also think tying it to sneak attack is good, because you don't always get sneak attack technically.
Right.
You can get it pretty much every time.
Yeah, but look how cohesive the feats in this class are too. You can give yourself sneak attack, and then you can go double or nothing, right? If you hit, which you likely will.
You know what? I'm going to reverse my thought on it. I am going to agree with you now. That moving it to after you roll but before you do damage is a good idea, because I like the thought of somebody giving themselves advantage, getting a crit, and then being like, ooh, but quadruple damage, that like we could take this guy out right now.
You know what? Here's how you can really push this wager mechanic. You can add a little more to it. You roll when you say you want to do a wager, you roll a d4.
Okay.
That is how many damage dice you add to the attack. Whatever you come up with on the d4. It's just whatever your weapon is. So if your weapon is a d4 and you roll a 4, you roll 4d4, and that's going to either get added or subtracted. Heads, it's added. Tails, it's subtracted from your damage. And if it goes below 0 damage, then maybe you drop your weapon. Right?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. But That's probably too much, even with just 4d4, right? Like, it's way too high at low levels and then not high enough at high levels to really make a huge difference. But you get the idea, right? We can find another thing to scale it on, but
Right.
yeah, that's maybe what I'm thinking.
But
is you go like, all right, I'm pushing my luck, and then you go for it like that.
well, that's part of the reason why I like having it tied to sneak attack, because that already scales with level, so you don't have to mess with those things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sneak attack is already dependent on your level. I also like that you can't just do it anytime. I like that you can only do it when you do sneak attack.
Right.
Obviously, I don't like that you can do sneak attack anytime with that feature. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, but having it tied to sneak attack makes sense, because that's the rogue's biggest combat sort of mechanic is sneak attack. Either way, though, it's an interesting one. I think I like it.
I'd want to test some variations on it and see what feels fun.
It needs play testing,
and it might just need to be adjusted for different tables, but because things do. But yeah, because there a lot of potential in it, I think.
I'd agree. Good on you, D&D Blue. And you know what's interesting? I did not. This is probably just coincidence, but the next homebrew I have is also by D&D Blue.
Oh.
They really like making subclasses, I think.
Oh, okay. What's the next one?
So the next one is a monastic tradition, a monk
you
subclass.
know what? We didn't talk about how to play a character who is the gambler type.
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
So one option is that they can just bumble into victory. We
Right.
talked about that a little bit. That's funny. The other thing is the person who just they can't resist taking a chance.
Right.
Right.
They're addicted to the gamble.
Yeah. Which is a serious addiction, by the way. If, you should probably talk to somebody about it, or you're going to have problems. I don't even know. It's not even technically an addiction, maybe like a physical addiction for gambling, I'm sure. But the issue is that the direct thing that you give up is money. And money's hard to get for most people.
Yeah. Right.
So if you're addicted to gambling, and then money's very crucial in all sorts of other mechanics in your real life.
Yeah.
So there's this money mechanic that kind of ties together a lot of different aspects of life. And then if you have a gambling addiction, that means that basically that mechanic is broken, but it ties into so many different other things that it kind of breaks all of it.
Right. Like if you actually kept track, net, you lose way more money than you ever win when you gamble.
Right.
It's a business. It
right.
makes
Exactly.
money,
Yeah. You can't really, truly.
You can't win.
Yeah. You can't win anywhere that stays open.
Yeah. You can't win anywhere that stays open. That's true.
Yeah. But I think that a character who has, an issue with that, now they could overcome that issue maybe, and they could be like, no, let's play it cool. This time I'm just going to take the damage. Like I've got him. I'm not going to risk this. I'm going to go for it. Or they could not, right? And they could just live with the consequences. Like sometimes, like maybe it gets them killed. Because they should have taken the sneak attack damage and they didn't.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that though, because it's just so tempting. I mean, if I played a character like this, I would wager every single time.
Every time.
I would wager every time, because I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's just it's so tempting.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that that's probably the one of the best archetypes for this. Now, the other one is somebody who is extremely cautious, right? Like the most prudent prude you've ever met, except when one of these rolls happens and then they get that big grin. They get that big grin on their face and they're like, well,
maybe
we could. You want to play a game? You want to make this a bet? And then it like, they lose their mild mannered temperament, and they go right off the deep end.
Yeah, they become that like shaking in the corner, like,
yeah, or like the overconfident, like,
oh,
but well, not really
bravado.
overconfident, but maybe like the, I don't know, intimidatingly confident, like overbearing presence, like, they go from being tiny to huge. They get big.
They get their personality grows.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I got
That's
it.
an option.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I
the
honestly,
other thing is you could also play it off as a physical thing,
Mhm.
where you do that bet every time, and like the issue is like they have a nerve problem, right? Like they have nerve damage in their arms, so they go to stab somebody, and they used to be an extremely skilled like assassin. So every once in a while, it goes just exactly how it normally would have, and they do amazing damage. Sometimes it goes like how a normal person could do, and then other times their arms just don't work, right? Like you could play it as that sort of thing, and maybe later find like one way or another find out that this is actually a magical ailment that they have, or something along those, like they're cursed to the gambler rogue archetype. That's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, like as a curse,
Yeah.
rather than being a choice.
It'd be interesting if you eventually break the curse and they change archetypes.
Yeah,
Completely, like all of their levels are now
or now in
a different
something
one.
else.
Can you multi-class in 2 different subclasses of the same class? I don't think so. Because it doesn't like work with some of the mechanics depend on your total level in that class.
Yeah, I think that's I don't think
And that's
you can.
why. Okay.
I'm just thinking in D&D Beyond, if you hit multi-class and you add a class, you can't add the same class again.
I mean, that's correct.
So,
yeah.
right.
I was just
but-
trying to think of the mechanical reason for that. And I guess it's because the subclasses are meant to be siloed away from each other.
Yes.
They're not meant to be compatible, like intercompatible within a class.
Right. It could cause some problems, I think, if you
Right.
multi-classed into a different
They need to
subclass.
have some abilities be mutually exclusive. So they have to be careful.
Right.
Like, because they are mixing them more with some of the newer subclasses. Like what was that called? The whatever magic-y barbarian there is.
Yeah.
The wild magic barbarian or whatever.
There's a wild magic barbarian.
They get some effects from a similar table to the wild magic table.
Mhm.
I don't think it's the same, but it's similar. But they have to be careful that like other sorcerers can't get that, because the wild magic sorcerer is that what it's called for them?
Yeah.
It is balanced so that when they use those features, they also have a negative thing to, or a neutral thing at least, like that might be their strong suit or whatever. But like other sorcerers, if they had that ability, would be too strong or too weak, depending on how it's balanced. I'm not sure.
Right. So you can't. Yeah, you can't.
Basically, the subclasses are just ways for them to make it so you don't get a dumb combination of abilities.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You can't just like pick abilities from different. Because if you could just pick the best abilities from each subclass, why wouldn't you just do that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Every character would just be the same.
Yeah.
They would all be the same.
They
Like,
would
because
all end up. Yeah.
then multiclassing, you would multiclass into a bunch of different classes and subclasses, and there would be one combination, like the coffee lock.
Yeah.
There'd be a combination where you're level 2 in like 8 different classes and subclasses, some of which overlap into the same class but are different subclasses, and you'd end up with like, oh yeah, I can cast fireball at 9th level 12 times per day.
Yeah. Exactly. Where's that?
Well, not 12
BB
times per 12 times per combat. If I have a short rest, I can do it again. And it's like, well, okay.
Okay.
What do you
Also,
do
I
about
get
that?
sneak attack on that, and
Yeah, I do get sneak attack damage on the fireball.
on the fireball.
Yes.
I was real sneaky with that fireball.
Yeah. By the way, it doesn't have to be on a place that I can see because I do have blind sight. Yeah.
Also,
I don't need an arcane focus because I can use my shield as an arcane focus, and I have heavy armor.
Also, I can shoot around corners. So
I can shoot around corners using meta magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. You could do some crazy stuff.
I can also smite with it, just so you know.
I can smite with it. Smite is not a spell. It uses a spell slot, but it's not a spell.
So
I can use it.
Technically.
Yeah.
I can actually cast 6 spells on my turn.
Right. Through my I have quicken action, and I have quicken spell, and the barbarian thing, and the fighter thing, action surge.
Right. Yeah, get an action surge.
Can you use quicken spell and action surge? I think you can.
Yeah, if you have enough levels in fighter and sorcerer, yeah, you can
do
action
4
surge
spells in one turn, I think.
Well, I think the rules as written, I think you can only cast 1 spell per turn, or per. It's not
definitely not per round.
It's per,
because you can use a spell as a reaction
on your turn. You can only cast 1 spell on your turn, except for cantrips. So you could feasibly cast
cantrips,
1 spell and then 3 cantrips if you use action surge.
But that's, sometimes that's worth it, but not often.
Right. So actually, multi-classing fighter sorcerer isn't that useful, really.
I think it should be better.
Yeah,
I really do. I think that it would be really fun if I don't think so for the base game.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the player's handbook, it's not up there. I don't have one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I don't think that the base classes and the initial subclasses included with them should be that good at combining, because multiclassing is complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated.
But I want there to be that level of depth overall. So in all the supplements and stuff, I think it would be really rad if there were things that were purpose built as basically the point of them is to allow you more options for multiclass. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm a nerd.
and the thing is that they don't have to be official. You could come up with that stuff. It could be all homebrewed. I mean, you can homebrew anything. That's what this show's all about. Homebrew anything.
Oh, speaking of which, what's our buddy over there have for us?
What's he got? Okay.
What's their name again? I forgot.
D&D Blue.
D&D Blue _. D&D Blue _. Thank you, by the way, for giving us another thing to talk about.
Yeah, it's the Way of the Weave. It's monk. This is a monk subclass.
Ah, monk.
It's the Way of the Weave.
Spell monk.
It's a spell monk. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. So you can cast spells using key points is what it's all about. I don't know. I would really be interested to play test this because it sounds hard to balance properly.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at what it says. So you have 2 cantrips from the wizard spell list, which is pretty extensive.
Right.
And every time you gain a level, you can replace your cantrip with a different one if you want to.
Okay.
So you don't need to expend spell slots to cast spells. Instead, you use your key. The amount of key depends on the spell's level.
Right. This is what I wanted to know.
Yeah. So
going into it,
the spell level column, it's got a chart.
Oh, okay.
The
Can I
spell,
see?
uh, yeah, it's just a small table in the bottom left
Okay,
corner,
gotcha.
right there. It's pretty small, and
Okay, so they get up to 4th level spells, first off.
right. So it's not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
4th level spells is the most.
At 3rd monk level, they only know up to 1st level.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get 2nd at 6th monk level, 3rd at 11th monk level, and 4th at 17th monk level.
Right.
That's not too strong as far as like combat or even utility goes.
No. In terms of spells, no.
No.
But that's not what monks are all about anyway. So I think it's okay.
1st level spells cost 2 key points. That's already a lot for a low level monk.
Right. That's a lot.
And 3 for 2nd level spells, 5 for 3rd level spells. I think 5 is always a lot of key points for a monk.
Always.
And 4th level spells are 6 key points. That's a lot. So it's definitely hard to use the spells a ton.
Yeah.
And by the way, you also know only a certain number of spells. At first it's 3, it goes up to 9 at the most.
Yeah. So it's the number of key points is easy to remember. You have the same number of key points as your character level in monk.
Right.
So an 8th level monk has 8 key points.
Mm-hmm. So at 17th level, when you have 4th level spells, you can cast 2 of those per day.
Right. And that's it.
Next level, you can do a 3rd, but that's the most you ever get of those.
Right. And that means you can't use your key points for anything else. That would only be for casting spells.
Mm-hmm.
So
now but like to be fair to D&D Blue, we're just getting into this.
Mm-hmm.
That might be very balanced. So I don't know yet. I don't know anything about it yet.
Right. So
I'm just saying my initial impression is like, oh, that sounds real tough to manage.
Right. So it has rules for your spell save DC and your spell attack.
Is the spell save DC partly based on dexterity?
It's based on your wisdom modifier.
Oh, wisdom. Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If you're casting spells as a monk.
I want to see them cast spells with punches though. Like bending, right? Like elemental bending in Avatar.
Then you'll like
right. Like you do it with martial arts, and that creates a spell effect, essentially.
All right. Well, let's take a gander.
Oh.
At 3rd level, you learn how to create and store additional arcane energy. So you gain additional ki equal to half your level rounded down.
Oh.
So it gives you more key points.
So at the end, instead of 20, you'll end up having 30 key points.
Right. You'll have
50% more.
Yeah. 30
Beautiful.
Key points at 20th level. Yeah. Right.
You get an extra key point every other level, basically.
Yeah. That's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
So now at 4th level, instead of having 4 key points, you have 6. Which is a lot.
Now we can do some spells.
Yeah. Now we're cooking with gas, right?
Now you're cooking with ki.
But that is an interesting way to do it. They opted to have the cost of the spells be pretty high, but also give you more key points.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the extra key can only be used to cast spells and is recovered by a long rest. So you have separate key point pools.
I don't feel is super necessary unless the other abilities that this subclass has are that good.
Right.
Because like even an extra 10 flurry of that's a lot. I mean, yeah,
an extra 10 flurry
that
of blows.
basically guarantees you're going to use it every turn all the time.
Right. Like think about it.
But at 20th level, that's how you kind of want to be playing. So maybe let me tone it down a little bit. At 10th level, you get 15 flurry of blows per short rest. Is that right? That they get key points back on a short rest?
So the reserve key points that they get for this are only recovered by a long rest, but key points are normally recovered by a short rest. That's another thing. Yeah, that's another part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated. Now, you could simplify it. You could create a system to track it well enough, right? And as long as you're tracking it well, I think I'm changing my stance on complicated systems. As long as you track them in a way that is unobtrusive. It has to be unobtrusive, in my opinion. So it's not that it needs to be super like convenient or anything. It just needs to not disrupt the flow of the game when you have to go like, oh shoot, but is this one of those key points, or like is it reserve key point? Is it like it's just got to be really obvious. So with the right trackers that you set up for yourself, I think it would be okay.
I think I'm going to agree with you on that I've sort of changed my stance on complicated systems too, because I'm considering a more complicated system to use for the next campaign that I have planned, which is I'm thinking about including a rock paper scissors mechanic in combat, where certain kinds of things are strong against other certain kinds of things in a rock paper scissors way. And at first I thought it would be too complicated, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that actually, as long as there's clarity in which one is which at all times, I think it would actually be more fun.
Now, is it going to be to the level of Pokemon's where it's like you have to have 2 grids to even tell?
No.
Oh.
It's literally rock, paper, scissors. There's only 3.
Oh, okay.
There's only 3.
Okay.
There's 3 things.
Is it magic, melee, and ranged attacks?
No.
That's already RuneScape's thing.
No.
Oh, okay.
But that's 2 of the 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's finish up this homebrew.
Okay.
If there's time, let's talk about your homebrew.
Okay.
We'll throw it out there maybe if you want. I guess I shouldn't volunteer you for it.
I've danced around on whether or not I want to talk about the details on the show, because I want to
make it kind of a surprise and like a fun thing to engage with too.
Yeah. When we start the campaign.
Okay, maybe we can do that.
So we'll save it. We'll save it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it once it's live.
Right.
Once it's being played.
In like a year and a half or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
At least a year and a half. Yeah.
Anyway. At 6th level here for this monk subclass that we were talking about, you remember that? Awesome. You're going to blend your martial arts with your spell casting. Hey, that's what you said. So when you cast a spell as an action, you can use your bonus action to make an unarmed strike.
Yeah. I was just as you started to say that, I was like, monks have a thing where if they attack, then they can do other. So you need that with the spells. There it is. Yeah. Additionally, if you take the attack action on your turn, you can cast a cantrip as a bonus action. Cool. Yeah. It's not clear if that means you can cast any cantrip as your bonus action, even if... Actually, you know what? The way that monks work, that makes total sense. I'll take it back. Yeah, sure. Cast any cantrip as a bonus action if you make the attack action. That's what monks do. They do stuff like that. That's true. They're fast. Yeah, that is true. How'd you do that spell so fast? Practice. But you can only do that a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. But again, that makes sense. Normally, you can't cast something that takes an action as a bonus action anyway. So it makes sense to be limited. Right. It's a nice thing to be able to do when it's useful though. You regain all expended uses when you long rest. If you have no uses available, you can spend a key point to do it again, though. Okay, there you go. Cool. So you'll have a lot more key points. So hey, makes sense, right? Okay, 11th level. Your spells can interrupt the flow of your opponent's ki. So when you hit another creature with a ranged or melee spell attack, you can spend 1 key point to attempt a stunning strike. So you can stunning strike with your spells, is what this is saying. Like you already get stunning strike earlier in Monk. So this is like, now you can do stunning strike with your spells. That's cool. I like that a lot. Does it work with AoE spells? Yeah. Cool. No. Oh, okay. It says ranged or melee spell attack. Ranged or melee spell attack. Okay. Yeah, spell attacks. Yeah, it has to be a spell attack. So yeah, it's Constitution, saving throw. Yeah, it's the way Stunning Strike works.
Only spells learned through key spell casting are compatible with this feature.
Okay, so you couldn't multiclass into actual wizard or something, for instance, and use a spell that you learned that way.
Right. Yeah. You can't.
That's really complicated. It's like I get why this has to be so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I think, which is that it's really hard to combine a caster with a monk.
Mm-hmm.
Monk is just hard in general to work with.
It is, yeah.
Because of how linear the point scaling is, but you need exponential sort of damage scaling, right? Like you not exponential, but
yeah,
not linear, right?
It's more
like
than linear.
You need like quadratic or cubic points, like damage scaling, but the key points scale linearly. So like, can you guys see? Do you want to do some math on the show right now?
Let's get a graph. Let's get out our graphing calculators.
What I'm saying though,
yeah,
is that it's really hard to scale your damage output anything higher than big O of n when it's dependent on a resource that scales at big O of n, where n is your level.
Mm-hmm.
You guys get that?
Yeah, I totally got what you're saying. I understand 100% what you said for sure. And I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you mean conceptually.
Yeah. It's really hard to take this and turn it in. It's actually easy to turn it into that, really. You would just do an integral, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to do that with, you don't want to integrate damage. Like when you're calculating a damage roll, you don't want to use integration.
Right.
Like calculus is not always welcome at a D&D table.
No.
For some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's a game for nerds. You would think people would accept that.
Right?
But no, not everybody wants to do calculus.
Calculomancer. Calculomancer.
You already did that, man.
That was the numeromancer.
The numeromancer. Yeah.
To be clear.
Yes.
His power was numerals.
Right.
That's nothing compared to a calculomancer. School of calculomancy wizard. All right.
I figured out the numeromancer's thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would figure out the calculomancer's thing. That would be somebody else would do that.
So the calculomancer could be a fun enemy, but I'm thinking of a wizard subclass right now. So I'll just let that kind of stew in there for a little bit.
All right. Well, at 17th level, you can dodge and weave. Get it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can use your reaction to extract threads of magical residue from a spell that has missed you or that you succeeded a saving throw against. It will amplify the next spell that you cast in one of the following ways that you can choose. The targets of the spell have disadvantage on the first saving throw they make against the spell, or the spell deals an additional damage equal to half your monk level rounded down. The damage can only be applied once per creature.
I love this because it doesn't preclude me from adding additional damage to a spell which does not do damage.
That's true. You could cast like detect thoughts and
they could be like, whoa, somebody's in my Yeah. I mean, maybe it actually does, and I'm just not like in it that carefully here. But I think I'm allowed to do that. Mom, can I please do that? I just call the teacher mom. That was a joke, though. I'm just messing around.
No, the only other thing it says is you can use this feature twice per long rest, or you can spend three key points to use it again. But I'm reading the first part again, and no, it just says when you cast a spell, you can do one of the following things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe it's true that the only spells that monks can learn in this subclass are damage dealing spells. That's possible.
Yeah.
But
it makes sense too.
Yeah, it makes sense for a monk. But I also like the idea of dealing damage with spells that don't deal damage.
Yeah.
Normally.
Yeah, because you detect their thoughts by punching them in the stomach.
Yeah. Huh.
You're like, why do they always think the same thing?
Yeah, they always think, "Ow, that hurts."
Every time.
Every time.
It hurts when you punch me.
That's all I can get out of this for some reason is how that hurt.
Somebody else want to try this?
Yeah, I can't. For some reason, I'm having a hard time really getting to the meat and potatoes of what this guy is really thinking. All I can get is "ow."
You know what? Maybe I should try punching harder. That solves all my other problems. Let's give this a go.
Punching harder has yet to steer me wrong. So, yeah, let's try it.
Oh my God, that's
harder.
All right, that's it. That's the character.
Mm-hmm.
That's the character. It's somebody who has always solved their problems through punching.
Mm-hmm.
And the harder they punch, the more it solves their problems. And nothing ever explains why there's magic coming out. Nobody is clear. But they're just like, oh, yeah. No, sometimes when I punch, that's how it goes.
I punch and I hear their thoughts.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Other times I punch and fire explodes out and hits me too.
Yeah. But I can also like do it over there.
Right.
And they're like, how do you do that? And you're like, I don't know. How do you do that thing with your tongue where you like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's impossible. No, you can't explain it.
Yeah. That tongue thing. I mean, how do you do that?
And then the rest of the campaign, they're just like, yeah, I don't know how people do that.
I can't do it.
I can't do that. Can you guys do that? And you're like, oh my God.
Please.
Close your mouth. Oh, does that help?
But how do you see it? How do you know
how
if
can
you're
you
doing
tell
it?
if I did it right?
With my mouth closed.
I don't know if I did it.
I like this guy already. I like this guy. I'm just gonna say I like him. He can stick around.
D&D Blue, please understand, we don't make stupid characters out of stupid subclasses. We make stupid characters out of everything.
Anything that comes to our brains, it's a stupid character now.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. This is one of my favorites so far, I think, though.
This character?
Yeah. I love the idea that he's stuck on the tongue thing and brings it up at every opportunity that he can.
It could be, he could just get stuck on stupid stuff like that all the time.
Right.
And just like for weeks, he's like, huh.
And like,
and everyone's like, what? Like at first they're like, what are you thinking about? And he's like, what about that thing with your tongue?
Yeah, that thing with the tongue thing.
And then like by 10th level, he's this monk. He looks like he dresses like a monk. He acts mostly like a monk. And when he is lost in thought, he'll be distracted and aloof from the conversation until eventually he's like, huh. At the perfect time during the conversation where everyone's like, we got to really think of something. And you're talking to some important NPC and they're like, what? What are you thinking about? And he's just like, huh. He's just not still back in the conversation yet. He's still like way deep in this.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns around and he's like, I did it.
I got it.
I guess it's not impossible.
I just did the tongue thing. Look. I got it. I figured it out. And then he moves on.
Yeah. And he completely forgets about any of that ever happening. And every time somebody brings it up, they're like, oh, are you going to talk about the annoying tongue thing again? And he's like,
what?
No.
What tongue? What are you talking about?
And then he's lost again. And he's thinking about some other thing, some other secret of the universe.
Right. Like, how come some people can't cross their eyes? You know, I mean, all you have to do is look at your nose.
And then he does it, and his eyes, he's like clearly just looking that way. not close to being crossed. Yeah. He's just like, weird, right?
Yeah, weird. Weird that nobody else can do that.
Huh. And then somebody's like, can you do that? And he's like, well, look.
Just looking down. See, they're crossed.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Dope.
I learned how to do that when I was a kid, though. That was like before all this monk stuff.
It's like the hand whistle that I do. That was like 3 bus rides worth of practice when I was in school. But I got it. I can do it now.
I feel like I had the eyebrow wiggle thing.
Oh, eyebrow wiggling?
The Jim Carrey eyebrow wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that because I wanted to be Jim Carrey.
And you landed the big role in the Sonic movie, Dr. Eggman.
Yeah.
That's you.
I don't think he's going to be in the second one.
He is.
Oh, he is in it.
I saw the trailer when I saw Spider-Man, and he's in it.
Oh, okay.
He's in it.
Cool.
He's in the second one.
Alrighty then.
And you know what's really weird? Tails is in the second one.
So is Knuckles.
Oh, really? Knuckles wasn't in the trailer for some reason.
Oh, he's in another trailer.
But Tails is in
Maybe
the trailer.
It's not real. I don't know.
I don't know. But Tails is in the trailer, and the trailer, Sonic is like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "What?" They're doing a thing where Sonic doesn't know who Tails is.
Well, yeah. I mean, Tails is only 4 years old, so like, it would be kind of weird, right? Like if Sonic knew this person as a baby and was like, "I'm gonna just take you on adventures."
But has there ever been? Maybe there has. I don't know. And I'm not like a Sonic expert. Has there ever been a Sonic video game where Sonic was like, "Who are you?" And yeah. And Tails is like, they're always friends from the get-go. Like I don't.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're always friends, right? So so it's weird that in the movie Sonic is like, "Who are you?" Like, what do you mean?
Maybe he's not. Maybe, you know what? That could be cut up. That could be cut up trailer stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
And he might be talking to somebody else when he says that.
Maybe.
Guess we'll have to watch it.
Or it's one of those things where they put it in the
We're
trailer.
gonna do a special episode of the podcast where we watch the second Sonic the Hedgehog 2 the movie.
I never saw the first one.
Is it Sonic 2 the movie Hedgehog?
I think it's just called Sonic 2
Hedgehog?
Or Sonic the Hedgehog.
Is it just
2?
Sonic with the number 2 in it instead of the N?
Satuic.
Well, it's pronounced Sonic, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Like sesevenen.
Yeah, like that one.
Man, one of my favorite movies is Sesevenen.
Yeah. Wait. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, it does.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No.
Uh-huh.
No. Because of short and long vowel rules.
Short and long vowel rules.
Yeah, some of those E's would be long E's, and some of them would not be pronounced.
Sesevenen?
I think it'd be... What would it be? C... No. Do you start from the end?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so in the word seven, it's an exception already to the rule. Because the word even is E-V-E-N, and it's a long E, and then the second E becomes the schwa sound. Even. It's actually like not pronounced. It's just E-V-N. Even. All right. Sesevenen. Sesevenen.
Yeah.
It's not 7, so it's not an exception to the rule.
Oh, okay. So now,
except for the 7 in the middle, which might be an exception to the rule, but it could be pronounced different because it's in the middle of a word, like how some words are pronounced different when you conjugate them. So it would be
C7.
Even. It would be no, I don't think that the first one. It'd be Seven even? No, Seven. No.
Seven.
I added too many of these.
Seven.
I can't do it. How do you pronounce that movie title? Even Stevens.
Even. It's still I did what you did.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be Sesevenen. Sesevenen? No,
Sesevenen.
Is it Sesevenen? Sesevenen, I guess, right?
With Brad Pitt and
Brad Paisley and Michael J. Douglas
and
Fox or whatever.
Yeah, and
Jamie Lynn Spears and all them.
Jamie Lynn Spears.
Yeah, I can list off of all sorts of
celebrities.
people in
Dave Grohl.
the movie Sesevenen?
Sesevenen.
Sesevenen. Does that have to be the title of this episode?
Yes.
Do we really need to?
Sesevenen.
Please don't make me do that. But I will. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna tie your hands on that one. You missed.
I did.